Well, animals rock, animals roll, animals climb up on your head and they lose control. Well, animals are hip, some animals hop, well, animals flop into. Alright, well, welcome to my second video in my little series to help people get started helping animals, becoming animal scientists, any kind of career that would involve animals. And I had so many responses and comments and questions on my first video that were from people much older than I expected, that I thought I would bring in some real zoologists and animal scientists to help me out and answer these questions for y'all. So we have John Abbott, who is with St. Edward's University Wild Basin Creative Research Center.
You got it.
Yes. All right. And I have Kendra Abbott, his wife, who is also an ecologist at St. Edward's University. So what I wanted to do is, I get a lot of questions about what zoologists do and what animal scientists do. I understand that zoologist is not really, you're usually getting a career or a degree in behavior or evolution or ecology. You're talking about systems. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, your big projects, and that'll help our viewers find out what they can expect.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm actually together, Kendra and I are working, our big project right now is working on the Peterson Field Guide to North American Insects. I'm an entomologist by training and was curator of entomology at the University of Texas for the last 14 years. And so I come from a very entomocentric background, if you will, and focus. And so we're really excited about trying to put together this field guide that has not been done since 1970.
Wow.
It's older than I am.
A lot of insects have been discovered in that time.
A lot of insects have been discovered since that time, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And for those of you who do not know, if you've seen my Baby You're an Arthropod video, these are the guys that took most of those pictures that I used in that. And some of those I believe are going to be in the Peterson's Field Guide. Yeah. So go ahead.
So I'm an ecologist at St. Ed's, like Lucas said, and I've been working on a couple of different projects. I teach primarily at St. Edward's University, and I really enjoy doing that, getting people excited about ecology, biology, insects, animals in general, but I also get to, here at Wild Basin, monitor a lot of the populations out here. So I do deer census, different mammals, plants, insects, and really sort of organize a lot of the research that goes on out here, and outreach as well. I also have some research that I'm doing on some beetles, native beetles to the area, and looking at, they're closely related to an endangered species, and I have a lot of students working with me to help figure out exactly why their range has differed in the past few years, and really they're not even in Texas anymore, so lots of different things going on. Yeah.
So that's one of the big questions I get is if I go to college and study some form of animal science, am I really going to get a job working with animals? So you obviously have been able to do that, and you've been able to do that. How difficult is it to get a job that actually works with wildlife?
I would say you need to think about what you want to focus on pretty early on these days. It helps to get you to be successful in what's become a very competitive market out there, basically. I would say that these days animals, the focus, I would say, on specific groups or animals is less so, and it's more looking at it from a systems approach or an ecological approach or a behavioral approach, but not necessarily the focusing specifically on an individual animal or even group of animals. Trying to take in and see how that animal or plant, we should say, kind of fits into everything. And so a lot of times these days degrees are in ecology, evolution, and behavior instead of just biology, for example. Yeah,
they're kind of, most universities are going away from a zoology degree. You'll find one or two out there in a couple of universities, but most universities are they actually used to be called UT, University of Texas at Austin, used to be a zoology degree, and their same zoology degree is now called an ecology, evolution, and behavior degree. So it's just something that's a term they're phasing out from a degree. To be more specific, really.
Sure. So as far as the kinds of courses that they're going to be taking, they're still going to need some basic chemistry, they're going to still need some physics, but they're looking less at individual organisms and more at like
how they, what kind of relationships they have, and how presumably their environment and what we're doing to their environment also affects them as well.
So you'll be taking ecology classes, which that's exactly what ecology looks at, is how they interact with their environment. Evolution classes. And then if you're really lucky, then you also get to take some natural history classes, like looking at the insects and the diversity of insects, or mammals and the diversity of mammals, or herbs. Like lizards and snakes and those sorts of things.
I mean, we call those the ology classes, because it's the mammalogy, the entomology, herpetology, and those unfortunately are becoming rarer and rarer. So if those are the kinds of things you want to focus on, you definitely want to look at the school you're going to, because not all schools offer those. Typically it's more of the agricultural or land grant schools in a state that will offer those kinds of classes.
And for me, I did the general zoology, and then I did a little bit of physiology and genetics, and it was not until my senior year that I took herpetology, which just set me ablaze. I just loved that course and ended up really changing my whole career plan. So definitely look at those upper level classes, because I think that's where the really fun stuff starts to happen.
Absolutely.
Which kind of brings us to our what we're talking about earlier today, which is you get this undergraduate degree in a life science field, and I want to talk a little bit about what the kinds of job opportunities there are with just an undergraduate degree, but also like why you might go on and get a master's, get your doctorate. Because that's the other question I get a lot is, can you really make a living with this? So if you get a degree in a life science, what kinds of career opportunities are there for you?
So I have a master's in ecology, evolution, and behavior. And I would say if you only want to get a bachelor's degree, what you really need to do is start out. Professors love it if you come in as a freshman or sophomore, so that they can really teach you a lot of things and you can really help them out. So find those ology classes and really latch on to those professors and start volunteering early in their labs and really getting used to how they do things. And then also, if you want to work in the zoo field or some of these wildlife places, really start volunteering at like wildlife rescue here in Austin. I know a lot of I've also worked at Foster Run Wildlife Center, and a lot of their interns, what they really wanted to see is that they were volunteering at some of these places. So some of the local zoos, you can volunteer at zoos or wildlife rescues or things of that nature. So really, as an undergrad, even in high school, start volunteering at those places, because that really makes you stand out from some of the other folks that just kind of went straight through school.
Taking your tests and doing well, but they really look for people that have done something that's in that profession or in that field, so that they can be sure you really want to do this.
I want to step back and just say something about the opportunities for research. I think that's Kendra mentioned that, and that is really huge. For me, it certainly opened the door to. I knew I was wanting to go into entomology and pursue that, but it opened the door that I didn't even know existed, which was into aquatic entomology, a specialized field of entomology, because I was working in a lab where I was doing my undergraduate that had an aquatic entomologist. He was the entomologist there, was an aquatic entomologist. That meant he studied insects that were in the water, a group of insects I really wasn't even familiar with at the time, stoneflies, and set me off, down a path that I was really enjoying, but didn't know existed. And St. Edward's University is fantastic for that. We're really good here at mentoring students early on. So I think anybody looking to go off to college ought to just be real frank and ask the faculty and advisors there, do you get your freshmen and sophomores involved in research very early on? A lot of times, opportunities that will come up are because of what the professor you might be working with, who he or she knows, or what opportunities that, again, you won't even think about it when you're first starting like that. And try to really don't just use it as an opportunity to go in and be in the lab, but really engage. Try to get publications if you can. That really will be impressive. Even if you don't plan on going on to do postgraduate work, that can really be impressive to getting future jobs. And again, I think St. Edward's University and here Wild Basin Integrated Research Centers are things that we really try to focus on and do a good job with.
Or getting accepted into a master's or PhD program, having that research experience in publishing, or even publishing, presenting at meetings. Those types of things are really important. And I mean, I've had students out here at Wild Basin that they come in and they're like, I'll do this summer research program, which it's almost expected of students here. Like, they really want to open up the doors to allowing students to be really hands-on and in the field experience, and they come out here and maybe a completely different career path, and then they start working outside and measuring trees and the number and the size and that, and then all of a sudden that the light just is like, whoa, this is awesome, and this is exactly what I want to do, so I'm going in that field. So definitely if you're high school looking for an undergraduate or a graduate looking for master's programs, really look at the opportunities that they really brag about, because that's really going to tell you what they're focused on at the university.
I had one of the comments or questions that I had was, what's the best school to go to? And I had to say, well, you really depends on what you want to study, right? That's right. You have to look at those research projects the professors are doing, I presume, and which ones sound interesting. But I really like what you said, which is, there are things that you just don't even know exist, and until you're out there under the guidance of somebody who's already a professional, you won't know what it really is to be a scientist. We see this stuff in the movies and we think we know what a scientist does, and we really have. It's not usually portrayed very accurately.
That's right.
So.
But I mean, the sky's really the limit once you start getting in and really talking to people. I mean, even at an undergraduate level, I know, after getting an undergraduate degree, I know lots of people that have gotten jobs in, like, at some of these survey companies, and I think, good grief, we have so many in the Austin area, like, hundreds of these different survey companies that are actively looking for biology students to go out in the field and survey for plants or survey for insects, for pipelines to go in, or mines and things of that nature to go in. So
you worked at Fossil Rim with an undergraduate degree.
And I worked at Fossil
directly
Rim
with African wildlife.
I think that's very common, working in the zoo field with an undergraduate degree. And then master's levels, you kind of get to direct your own projects and kind of make a few more decisions. And then once you get to a PhD level, at the university level, you're kind of starting to write grants and organize other folks to be doing the research. And once you go into other jobs outside of academia, you might start getting into more administrative stuff with a PhD. So those are all things to think about. If you're trying to get into the field. Okay.
Awesome. Well, do you have any other words of wisdom for somebody who's browsing YouTube looking for help getting started in a career that they love that involves animals?
I would say don't be afraid to contact people.
Dang it, that's what I was going to say.
Hear, hear.
Even high schoolers going into to finding an undergraduate institution to attend, their faculty are readily available these days with the internet. You can get their email addresses, you can find out what they're doing, and if they don't write you back, that says something. And so,
ask somebody else. Just
ask
go to the
somebody
next
else. That's right. But if you can forge a relationship and go and visit these schools and these faculty, even again at just the undergraduate level, it's really critical at a graduate level, but especially at the undergrad, or even at an undergraduate level, I definitely would encourage people to
be persistent.
That.
Don't email once. Email a lot. That way, if a high schooler emails me, I'm going to be like, well, I'm not sure if, I might put that off, and then if they email me again, I'm like, oh, they're actually really interested in this. So just keep emailing if you don't get a response right away, so
take advantage of opportunities, create opportunities where you can, and figure out what makes you happy, what you really enjoy, and see how you can, do that professionally.
And volunteering will help you figure that out, because sometimes it's hard to figure that out. So just volunteering and dabbling in these different things where you're not having to make a make a paycheck from it will really help you figure out what you do want to make money doing.
And again, open tremendous opportunities and doors that you wouldn't even know existed.
Obviously. Well, I had the experience of working in a lab, and not really, that was not my thing. But I have a brother who's getting his PhD. He started working in a lab and absolutely loved it. So, I think if you come into this with an open mind, if you're just curious in general about the natural world and how things work, this can take you all kinds of places. The life sciences, there's so much more there than I think people realize.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere from working in a lab, lots of biology degrees end up working in labs, and then moving up from there, or survey companies, or I mean, there's all sorts of different things that you just don't always think about.
And people may think, oh, it'd be great to be in a zoo situation or aquarium situation and working with these particular animals. And they probably, a lot of times, just think of it as feeding them, petting them, playing with them, that kind of stuff, interacting that way. But there's more and more, these institutions are doing a tremendous amount of research and actively engaging with universities, actively going away from the particular zoo and doing research in the wild on particular animals. And so there's a lot of opportunities, even in those traditional zoo fields like that, for real research. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, because I get that a lot. It's going to do zoologists really work in the zoo? Well, some of them do.
Some do.
Yeah.
Some do, some don't.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. So I will just say, if anybody else has more questions, I will be glad to try to answer them and call on experts to help me with the ones that I have a hard time answering. But it's been great. I really appreciate your time, and you've inspired just so many people through your work to go on and pursue science. So hopefully we'll keep on doing that through the internet and make a whole generation of people who want to help out animals.
Sounds great.
Great. Thanks a bunch.